And we're live. Good morning. How good is this, huh? You all having a good time?
Yes.
Amazing talks, and there's a lot more to come. So, good morning. My name is Helena Kastanis, and I'm the founder of Changing Plates, an LCHF advisor and health coach. So, I'm really excited and delighted to be able to share my lived experiences with you all today in health and healing. So, I, like a lot of other people here, walk the walk, talk the talk. I've turned my fear into my motivation. I've led my peers and family by example, and learned, and I'm still learning so many things. Spoken to people, listened to experts in this low carb, real food movement, and I'm passionate about sharing my experiences and the knowledge that I have gained. So I, like a lot of people, I was a serial yo-yo dieter my whole life. So overweight since my teens. And then after having children, that weight just wouldn't budge. I was eating healthy. I thought I was doing all the right things. So I thought, it must be my thyroid because it's not me. I'm eating healthy. So I went and got some blood tests done. And to my shock and surprise, I had non-alcoholic fatty liver. So my first reaction was, really? And then the second word was, well, what's that? I had no idea. So this low carb lifestyle has really opened my eyes and my heart and my life to so much knowledge, joy and freedom and cherished experiences. So I did this with my 77-year-old mother-in-law, and she was a type 2 diabetic for 20 years. Some of you may have heard this story before. So she was staring down the barrel of dialysis. So along with her, we went on this low-carb journey. She lost 25 kilos. She came off 17 medications, and she put her type 2 diabetes into remission. I lost 25 kilos and I have achieved things I never thought possible. So I actually did something really, really crazy and started running at the age of 44, or 3 days before my 44th birthday. And I've ended up running a marathon. I've hiked 100 kilometres in an Oxfam challenge over 34 hours with a few crazy people in this room. So my health has afforded me opportunities that I thought were just impossible. So yes, of course it can be done. There are plenty of people here who are living testament to the power of this way of eating, and are putting these pillars of lifestyle into practice. So it's prioritising your health, doing the work. You're going to hear so many people with so many amazing things over the course of this weekend, and I hope it inspires you and you leave here with a fire in your belly to take some action. But I'm also here to keep it real. So frustration, confusion, fear, self-doubt, embarrassment, all these feelings will pop up every now and again, even if you've been doing this for a while. So you'll hear things like, hey, are you sure you want to be doing this? Like, what do you mean you don't eat carbs? Aren't they essential for our brain and stuff? So what the hell? Take this to such an extreme. And the favourite, everything in moderation. So we all start from a different place. Whether you're insulin resistant, you're facing type 2 diabetes, hormone imbalances, depression, anxiety, fatty liver, if you're overweight. But the threat or pending threat of chronic disease is often the trigger and the reality check that pushes us into action. So one thing that all these conditions have in common is inflammation. And what is the driving cause of inflammation in our bodies? It's our diet. So we think, well, how do I start? What am I going to do? What's a macronutrient? Am I eating enough protein? So glad this is working. Oh my God, look what she eats in a day. Overnight oats, dates and bananas, healthy desserts. Oh, but keto bars. How good is that? Low carb, sugar-free lemon slice, cauliflower crisps. It's just so much going on, but you just have to take a breath. Take a breath and step back and really assess the situation. So the oversaturation of often incorrect information out there can be overwhelming and confusing. And that's by design. So growing up in the, low-fat milk, eat 7 times a day to keep your metabolism firing, Jenny Craig at 16, light and easy lifestyle, I knew nothing about nutrition. So if only I knew back then what I know now. So apart from my health, the biggest blessing that this journey has afforded me is knowledge. I've educated myself and my eyes are open to the lies and how inverted the reality is of what has been ingrained in our psyche. Ever wondered why people get so annoyed when you start to talk about nutrition? Everybody knows what they're doing. What you're challenging is a belief system. You're not really challenging their food choices. So we've been brainwashed into believing such monumental lies, like, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, that eggs are evil little vehicles of cholesterol, that red meat causes cancer, and that health food is healthy. So if you're here, you all also might know the truth, that the key to sound nutrition and lowering your inflammation is to adopt a low-carb nutrition approach, otherwise known as JERF, just eat real food, or whether it be the proper human diet, low-carb, keto, carnivore, ketovore, any mix of those combinations. So we know that the key is to prioritise protein, avoid highly processed packaged foods, and eat foods whenever you can in their natural package. Learn to cook, even if it's just the basics, and avoid takeaways. Most takeaways are cooked in seed oils. So all these things we know, and that's all fine and well, but nothing is perfect. And the thing is, in real life, especially midlife, and dare I say especially for women, this often equates to being time poor. So if you're working full time, you've got a young family, or even any type of family, we mentioned the sandwich generation before, it's just not realistic to cook every single meal from scratch and have all your snacks prepared and prep all your meals for the week by Sunday afternoon. So healthy packaged options, they're there to help us, right? So we start with good intentions. We know what we need to do. We take the challenge at face value. So in good faith and armed with all the details, we are determined to kick a dent in this metabolic issues that we're having at the moment. So we have, we're on this trajectory and want to get ourselves out. So we put a token in that trolley with the dodgy wheel on the front left, and we walk into that supermarket ready. Let's do this. Cue big food. And it's worse now than what it was even just 4 or 5 years ago. So low carb and keto have infiltrated the mainstream, and this has revealed a new market to exploit. So the biggest game changer and the number one skill I have in my toolbox, this has literally changed my life, and you might hear me repeat this a few times, but the skill is to learn to read the ingredients. It's so simple, but sadly, I never ever used to do it. I used to just go shopping and pick stuff up. Oh, that's nice, and just chuck it in the trolley. Never ever did I turn the pack over to read what I was actually consuming. So many marketing terms associated with improved health are actually used to mislead customers into thinking that processed food is good for them. So think about how you're being influenced. Did you know that basically nothing important is on the front of the box? Marketing is all around us, so it shapes the choices we make and it links products to lifestyle. It also targets our emotions. So it makes us worry about things that we never really used to think about, and then it provides a solution. So it makes us question, for example, the nutrient content of food that we're eating, and then it says, well, here's what you should do instead. Who ever wondered how much protein was in a muesli bar before 2021? Marketing is this tool by manufacturers imply more than they deliver. So they're messing with us. The nutrition content claims and health claims are voluntary statements made by food businesses. So we're targeted and we're manipulated, and we go out there in good faith thinking that these companies are adhering by strict guidelines. But, there are several examples that this is just not the case. Take the Health Star rating. So when these were being formulated, the organisation working through it was heavily lobbied by the Australian Food and Grocery Association and even the Australian Advertisers Association. And as such, these ratings are incredibly watered down. So did you know that there's a provision that actually allows companies to rate these products based on their suggested recipe rather than the standalone nutrition? For example, in the case of Milo, not that anyone here would be eating Milo, Nestle says that 3 teaspoons of Milo with 200 ml of skim milk has a Health Star rating of 4.5 out of 5 stars. So I can practically say you up. And it's voluntary. Only a third of packaged foods display this rating. It doesn't take into account food additives. So in other words, it means nothing. Foodstandards.gov.au states that foods must be labelled with an accurate name or description, the place of manufacture, and the place of business. So they also must indicate the true nature of the food. So if you're buying a strawberry yogurt, it should contain strawberries. So it's unlawful to make false and misleading claims. So how do the manufacturers get around this? With spin, confusion. So just because a label makes certain health claims, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's healthy. You have to get smarter than the front of the pack. So consumer surveys have revealed that a perception of health.
Choices. So the thing is, we want to be making the right choices. We in fact go out of our way looking for the right choices, but this is made all the more difficult with confusing labelling and marketing. So aggressive marketing tactics can actually be detrimental to your health. For example, fruit juice and smoothies are not healthy. Don't know about you, but I get triggered every time I go by those long lines of young people in Lycra, young people or all people, waiting for their healthy juices. A 450 ml Tropical Crush smoothie is just as bad for you with the same size serving of Coca-Cola. It's no surprise that if you investigate the nutritional value of these products, you are gaslit with a response that is confusing and misleading. Quote, "We look for foods that fuel our bodies so that we can get the most out of life. It's no surprise that there's sugar and calories in our smoothies. But what you might find surprising is that it's not the same sugar you'll get in a milkshake or a soft drink." See, we know that sugar is sugar. There is no better sugar or healthy sugar. So these smoothies are marketed as healthy options. They're targeted at that younger cohort, health conscious, ripe for that virtual signalling of health, veganism, all the feels of you're making better choices by consuming our product. But after some practice, you too will get better at deciphering the marketing spin and find out the true meaning behind the lies. So allow me to translate. Natural. This does not mean that the product resembles anything natural. It simply means that at some point the manufacturer used a natural source like a potato. This implies no man-made ingredients, but really it means nothing at all. You should ignore it. Fortified. This means that some nutrients have been added in. So you'll see this in cereals. Like this one here says iron. There's iron in this cereal. But the fact is, these processed foods have had a lot of nutrients stripped out. So when they actually claim to put nutrients back in, they're not as bioavailable as they would have been if you ate it from its natural source. So this too certainly doesn't mean that this is a healthy choice. Here's a good one, sugar-free. This implies that the sugar content is not high. So sugar is not the first on the list in the ingredients. So often these foods contain many different sources of sugar, but none of them are in high enough amounts to put them up onto the top of the list. So ultimately, you know, this is nothing, sugar-free is nothing more than processed candy in a box. So sugar has about 250 different names. So it might appear as corn syrup, dextrose, nectars, isomalt, invasol, maltodextrin, anything that ends in ose really. So, you know, there's a lot of confusion targeted at us when we're looking at this packaging. Another good one is gluten-free. There's nothing healthy about gluten-free. It just means that there's no wheat, spelt, rye or barley in these products, but often these products are full of seed oils, sugar, and they're highly processed foods. Baked, not fried. This was huge in the late 90s, early 2000s too, when the fear of God was put in us about saturated fat. So seed oils are in the top 3 ingredients of most of these products. So seed oils are highly inflammatory. I think most of us know this by now. Originally classified as industrial grade and used as biodiesel, machine lubricant before it made its way into our food. These oils are in nearly everything. If you want to spot something in the supermarket without seed oil, the only way to do that is to turn it around and read the label. Even products like tuna in olive oil, if you were to turn those tins around, it's often a blend. So they can make that claim on the front of the tin as long as it's in the ingredients. And you go through and it's tuna, vegetable oil, blah, 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 it's olive oil 2%. So you've got to read the ingredients on these foods. These oils coat your cells for up to 6 months. So you're staying inflamed a long time after you've eaten the food. Canola oil, peanut oil, flaxseed oil, rapeseed oil, grapeseed oil, cottonseed, safflower oil, soybean, flaxseed, and vegetable oil. There's a wall of it in the supermarket. It's astounding that this is still just so readily available. Here's a recent trend that I've got to give special mention to, and it links into Fortified protein. So if you want high protein, you're not going to find it in a muesli bar. It's just, you know, if you want protein, eat a steak. You know, honestly, it's just a joke. And the most obvious infuriating offender is health food. So the health food aisle should be renamed the gaslighting you aisle. So while you're tracking your macros and trying to keep everything white or yellow off your plate and getting your 7 to 8 hours sleep a night and trying to manage your stress, this place is actively focused on derailing all your hard work to regulate your blood sugar, to keep your insulin at bay, to lower your inflammation. But I eat healthy. How many times have you heard that? Almost everything in the health food aisle is made of grain, is highly processed, and has sugar and seed oils in it. Very few clean items are in this place. But again, you have to turn the packet over and investigate it. Knowledge is power. Do not rely on what you're reading. The low carb space is now a very lucrative market for these kinds of shenanigans. That was my face. Anything low carb or keto on the pack is a highly processed junk food. But what? Low carb double choc brownies? Oh my God. Yes, it contains 65% lower carbs than regular chocolate brownies, confectionery, bars or fudge. But it also contains inulin, Possible side effects: gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, cramps, but it can improve your digestive function. Corn fibre can make you more susceptible to gut dysbiosis, and studies have shown that it can increase the survival of salmonella in the gut, but it is considered a true dietary fibre by the FDA. Soy lecithin is generally a safe food additive, but it's used as an emulsifier and a flavour protector. Side effects can include gas, stomach aches, diarrhea. Animal and laboratory experiments suggest that it could be disruptive for our gut microbiome. Polydextrose, synthetic polymer of glucose, and it is possibly safe if you consume less than 50 grams per day. Canola oil, we touched on that, it's toxic. Sucrose, sugar. Malted barley extract, sugar. Glucose, sugar. Soluble corn fibre is made by adding heat and acid to regular fructose corn syrup, sugar. Sorbitol, high sugar alcohol with a sweet taste that the body metabolizes slowly, can cause gastrointestinal symptoms. More than 20 grams a day can cause diarrhea. Soy protein isolate. This is the isolated protein from the soybean that is engineered. Contains unhealthy additives, and a chemical process used in this process often leaves behind substances that you don't really want to be eating, like aluminium. So you can see a lot of nutrients have left the building. Vegetable glycerine sounds like a lovely soft hand wash, doesn't it? Fun fact, vegetable glycerine is a variant made from plant oils. It became industrially significant in the 1800s when it was used to make dynamite. It's made by heating triglyceride-rich vegetable fats with a strong alkali like lye, and this causes the glycerine to split away from the fatty acids, and they mix it together with water, forming an odorless, sweet-tasting syrup. Yum. So when ingested, vegetable glycerine may cause headaches, dizziness, nausea, vomiting, and it's a form of sugar that your body cannot easily absorb. So consuming too much can lead to diarrhea. Are we seeing a pattern here? So the thing is, it's 4.3 grams of carbs per serve, a smidge over 1 gram of sugar, and it's Rainforest Alliance certified. But the fact is that these are just a list of 40 plus highly processed ingredients masquerading as a food that happens to be low in carbs. It will keep you inflamed, it will keep you craving sugar, and the habits that got you here in the first place are going to keep tapping at the window. So I'm not here to judge. This was me. I ate this stuff. So I was even buying keto ice cream. I don't even like ice cream, but it was keto, so it was all right, right? So sweet alternatives aren't the only culprits. Plenty of savoury food is in the supermarket masquerading as being good for you. I'm highlighting the sweet alternatives because they are what lit me up when I used to go into the supermarket. Atkins bars, no sugar chocolate. The companies are called No Shoe, Health Lab, BC Labs. So what do these brands sound like? They sound like science, authority. Trust us, we know about health. Health food award winners, they must be good, hey? Naturally good, 50% less sugar. Freckles, only 7.6 grams of carbs per serve. Surely I can find space for that in my daily macronutrient allowance. Low carb fudge, only 9.3 grams of carbs per 100 grams. Like, wow, fudge. 25 ingredients, including 3 kinds of emulsifiers, 3 types of whey proteins, and 6 sweeteners. Excess consumption may have a laxative effect. How about the low carb Aussie Bodies 17% milk protein salt salted caramel block with no added sugar. Like, you just can't believe your eyes. It even says, feel free to indulge your sweet cravings without derailing your health goals. So helpful. Only 3.3 grams of carbs per serve. So the problem is, whether it's stevia or sucrose, the dopamine hit is the same. It lights up the same areas of our brain. So over 40 years of me starting my day with a sugar bomb, you know, breakfast cereal, whole grains, expressing my love for others and myself with sweets. I'm often finding comfort in the arms of a caramel koala. The habits and the cravings are real. The addiction is real. So in the early days, I was downing all of this stuff. I was giving myself permission because I believed the label. I stopped because it started to make me feel sick. And I started to value feeling good over chasing that proxy sugar hit. It didn't give me any joy anymore. So all these products can act as a well-meaning crutch at the beginning. But after some time, you will find that your progress will stall. And then we conclude, well, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe it doesn't work. This doesn't work. It's just a fad. It does work. You're being sabotaged. So I was an award-winning cake decorator. Baking was my happy place. So when it came to overcoming my challenges with my sweet tooth, I used low-carb baking and all these things as a crutch. I was actively looking at how I could lessen my withdrawal, how I could sub in low-carb options. So Googling furiously, I soon realised that almond flour, monk fruit sweeteners, sugar-free chocolate chips, all this was my ticket to adhering to a low-carb lifestyle and being able to enjoy a different version of the same things. So I was actually looking for permission to chase that sweet hit, but it wasn't a solution. Whether it's store-bought or homemade, you're not going to stop at one. You're likely to eat the whole block of sugar-free chocolate because you give yourself permission, or have 5 cupcakes instead of one that you made yourself. But it's low carb. It aligns with my health goals. It says it right there. It's naturally good for you. What it's actually doing is keeping you stuck in your behaviours that got you here in the first place. So anything sweet tasting will trigger an insulin response. So insulin is a fat storing hormone. Eventually, your progress will stall. But this is part of the learning. So in the beginning of my experience, I had no understanding of sugar addiction. It was only about the carbs. So how do you get past that? Well, you've got to acknowledge and recognise that this is an issue for you. So over time, that voice has grown quiet, but, I've nurtured my curiosity. I've surrounded myself with like-minded people. Catherine touched on that importance of community. So as my knowledge has increased, my thinking and understanding has evolved. So at this point, patience and showing yourself some compassion is key. Progress is not just going to be, your weight's just going to drop and, unless you're on that trajectory, you're failing. It doesn't work like that. So reducing inflammation is not only about the carbohydrates, especially when we're trying to decipher and navigate our way through the supermarket. It's a battle often hard fought and sometimes lost in the confusion and the frustration of what we're trying to battle, doing all the right things and making all the healthy choices. So seed oils, hidden sugars, additives, attention-grabbing graphics, manipulation tactics, unconscious bias about what is healthy in the mainstream, they're all deliberate attempts to derail your efforts and keep you confused, overwhelmed, stuck in the same cycles of feeling, that self-loathing, the disappointment that you're just not making the progress, that these claims are guaranteeing that you'll get to eventually. And it keeps you in consumer mode. It keeps you spending your money on the next thing because the other thing didn't work. So at the heart of healthy nutrition is an ancestral approach to eating: red meat, fatty fish, you know, eggs, cheese, full fat yogurt, saturated fats, you know, ghee, olive oil, all the things we know. But the thing is, at some point, you're going to buy something packaged. The reality is that at some point you need to read the ingredients of what you're purchasing. You'll be amazed at the number of things they're putting into foods to make them healthy, when really it's keeping it simple is the key. Education, awareness, and knowing your power as a consumer, and knowing that you can take control of your own health are paramount. So remember, you always have a choice, and that choice is yours to make. Thank you.